Greetings, colleagues. I hope this finds you well, and thank you for the opportunity to present to you some of my ideas, but to also extend my greetings. Firstly, I would just like to thank and to congratulate the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Peru for once again convening everyone on this important day, which celebrates Peru-Africa friendship. It is quite important, and especially to do it in such a way that showcases and celebrates our common culture. The theme, of course, is the cycle of African cinema. And I think this is quite important, not only on the Peruvian side, but also on the African side, to showcase our respective heritage, to showcase also our common heritage, and essentially to reflect on where we come from as societies. It is also quite timely that the documentary Joseph is being exhibited. This is an important and very timely documentary, especially because it comes still within the decade, the International Decade for People of African Descent. We're reminded when we watch this documentary that in December 2013, the United Nations General Assembly adopted Resolution 68-237, by which it proclaimed 2015 until 2024 to be the International Decade for People of African Descent, with the theme People of African Descent, Recognition, Justice, and Development. Now, this is quite important, and I think it reflects quite closely the key themes that are touched on in the documentary. Themes like freedom, themes like a reflection on slavery, but also themes such as the common issues that continue to affect people of African descent all over the world, which are challenges of development, which are challenges of discrimination, and which are challenges of recognition. And I think this documentary does a good job, not only within Peru, but also for us on the African side, to watch it and to reflect on our common history, to reflect that even though some made that arduous journey crossing the Atlantic, and many against their will. But it is important that through such documentaries and through such exhibitions that showcase our common heritage and that showcase our history, that we may better reflect on where we come from as societies, and to reflect on the various ills and the various challenges that our respective peoples have confronted over these years in order to reach the point that they are. It also reminds us as Africans that Africa is indeed a global family, with people of African descent essentially scattered all over the world. And I think what it calls on us to do is, whilst we reflect on the very painful history that might have brought us together in the past, it is also upon us to think and to say, what kind of a future do we want to shape together as Africa, but also as Peru and as our respective continents? Because whilst our history and while some of the history that is depicted in the documentary speaks to that painful past, I think we are sitting at a time where it is possible in contemporary times to co-construct a future that has much more hope, a future that is both shaped by the agency of Peru and of people of African descent in Peru, but also a future that is shaped by Africans. And I think if we can create such bridges and create such platforms that link our respective peoples, it is through that we can actually co-create a much more hopeful future. It is also important to take into account that the Constitutive Act of the African Union explicitly mentions the importance of the diaspora. In fact, it goes further and essentially refers to the diaspora, the African diaspora, as the sixth region of Africa. And that is something that is enshrined within the Constitutive Act. And a country like South Africa, which also comes from a history with a lot of pain, a history of colonialism, a history of racial discrimination, a history of injustice, it is quite important that in reflecting on this history, we open the spaces for conversations between the peoples of our respective countries. And in opening up that conversation and in opening up those bridges, it's important that not only at a government-to-government level, but also at the track 2 and the track 3 diplomacy tracks, that our respective peoples would in future find more avenues for engagement, more avenues to share not only each other's histories, but to share also the contemporary contributions. So when we think of a country like Peru, to also think of the positive contributions that have been made over the years by people of African descent. But it is also going to, I think, be important, and I think we have to challenge ourselves to ensure that our respective countries do not only look towards the north for examples and for joint conversations and for reflection. And I think if this Friendship Day should inspire us, in fact, to understand that we can, in contemporary times, engage with one another directly, not through a Western or a Northern intermediary, but we can create friendship and we can create common linkages and bridges between the people of South Africa and the people of Peru, but in broader between the people of Africa and the people of Peru. And by doing that, we can shape a more positive future, but a more positive future that is acutely aware of the history and that is acutely aware of the historical wrongs that need to be corrected by our generation. And with that, colleagues, I wish you all the best. I wish you enjoy as much as I have enjoyed watching this documentary, but that I also hope that it inspires conversations between our respective countries and between our respective people so that we can shape a much more positive future. Thank you, colleagues.